Okay.
So it's streaming live.
You are, yes, you are now live on YouTube.
Thank you very much for that. Good evening, everybody. Welcome to another remote planning meeting. First of all, as usual, I'll do a little bit of general housekeeping. I am Councillor Margaret Glancy, Chair of Planning. And prior to this evening's meeting, we have been testing the technology, and I can confirm that the majority of speakers are in attendance. We will test the final one who we're not too sure of the connection a little bit later on. And they can all be seen and heard. I also confirm that I can see and or hear my fellow participating members here this evening. And those members are Councillor Bindloss, Councillor Brown, Councillor Chandler, Councillor Faulkner, Councillor Hewson, Councillor Higgins, Councillor Holmes, Councillor Posnett, and Councillor Steadman. We do not seem to have Councillor Wood present this evening. Has anybody received apologies from Councillor Wood?
No, I haven't.
Well, we'll see if Councillor Wood can join a little bit later on. You have to bear with us on that one.
But he didn't come to a meeting yesterday, so I just wonder if he's not well or something. I don't know.
Possibly. Here we go. Dr. Harris has come through again. Oh, she's gone back. Right, okay. We have a team of officers present this evening. Our Assistant Director for Planning and Delivery, Mr. Jim Worley. Our Planning Solicitor, Tom Pickwell. A Senior Democratic Services Officer, Adam Green, and welcome to the committee. Democratic Services Officer, Catherine Richards, and a Planning Officer, Lynn Eastwood. I think that's everybody present and correct. Thank you. Members speaking. We're grateful if you could use the raise hand facility on your screen, and a member of the Democratic Services team, namely Adam, will make a note and inform me accordingly. Members voting, please note a remote member participating in a vote will cast his or her vote as if participating in a recorded vote. I will ask members alphabetically for their vote, either for, against, or abstain. All microphones will be unmuted whilst the vote is being recorded. Following the vote, all microphones will be returned to mute. Disruption to remote conferencing. I refer you to the remote meeting procedure rules. In the event of a link failure for all attendees, I will call a short adjournment for up to 5 minutes. If the link cannot be re-established, the meeting shall be adjourned to a later date. In the event of a link failure to individual members, the remote member will be deemed to have left the meeting at the point of failure of the equipment. And if the link cannot be re-established before the end of the meeting, then the presumption will be that the meeting should continue to deal with the item, providing the meeting remains quorate. If there is disruption with a member's connectivity, our solicitor present this evening, Tom Pickwell, will determine whether a member has heard enough of the debate to be able to lawfully vote, depending on the particular circumstances and how much the member has missed. Members, please be aware the meeting is being recorded, and remember it's being live streamed. We're grateful if you could put your phones onto silent. Thank you. Right, agenda items. Agenda 1, apologies for absence. We haven't had any, but I note that Councillor Wood is not present this evening. We'd now like to confirm the minutes of the 1st of April 2021. Do we have any comments on those minutes? No hands raised. So rather than go through my list of councillors for agreement, I will assume every member agrees the minutes unless you raise your hand to indicate otherwise. No. So I take it that you all agree the minutes are accurate, and I will sign the copy of the minutes when I can. I think I've got quite a few to sign now. I'm sure Catherine will sort of see me at some point when we can meet. Declarations of interest. Please note the content of the advice on members' interests. And if you think you have a personal, either non-pecuniary or pecuniary interest or bias, please state that now. Councillor Higgins, you have your hand raised. You're on mute, Councillor Higgins.
Sorry, I thought I pushed the button, but anyway, it actually isn't a declaration of interest, but other than I think from the leadership of the council and or on behalf of all councillors following the judicial review in terms of councillors meeting, I think it is important that we put on record that while the court did find, and I agree with, that for meetings is in place and will be in place, should be a matter for Parliament. Parliament should also understand, on behalf of members who may have vulnerabilities, may have not had COVID vaccines, to meet outside of what their own directions are. It is important that this council, Melton Borough Council, does put a proper representation into all within the Parliament to make sure that all concerns are made to meet in person, which is very difficult. And what I would like to put in the public domain is, while we're very happy to meet on Zoom and all the other stuff, there are members on here who have particular vulnerabilities, and some people who haven't had their inoculations, and we should not be forced. It is my view, personal view, that we should not be forced to be put in that vulnerability, so we're all in it together. And while I'm happy to meet in person from the 26th of May, I think this council will support those members who feel those vulnerabilities. And the best way to do that as councillors is to lobby our Member of Parliament, and Parliament needs to make sure that it puts the legislation in place to protect local government officers, local government councillors, and also parish councillors before it meets. A little bit of a statement there, and that's all I thought I needed to get out. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you for that. Yes, I think I do totally agree. Well, not everybody wants to meet in physically meet. I can understand people's sort of reluctance to do that, because it is quite scary, isn't it, after what we've been through for this year. So let's just wait and see what Parliament comes up with. Hopefully they will give us some really suitable guidance on that. But thank you anyway for mentioning it. Councillor Posnett, you have your hand raised.
Yes, thank you. I'd just like to declare a personal and non-pecuniary interest as being a member of Leicestershire County Council. Thank you.
Okay. Councillor Brown, put your hand down.
Thank you, Chair. Yeah, I would just like to say that I'll obviously leave the meeting on the land to the south at Frisbee, because I'll obviously be participating in the speaking. And then just one other thing, Chair, if I may. Councillor Warwick, the Frisbee Parish Councillor, says he can't hear or see the meeting. He seems to be locked out in a waiting room, so I don't know whether Adam could maybe try, or one of the colleagues try and resolve that issue. Thank you.
Okay, we'll leave that to you, Adam. Thank you. And Councillor Holmes.
Thank you, Madam Chairman. Very interesting what our deputy leader has said. But I tend to think, and I have had advice from a doctor, that to actually start meeting, and I don't mean holding hands or getting that close to each other, is something which I think we should ease ourselves into. Yeah. Having been the person that's probably been, unfortunately, the one that's caught COVID the worst, I'm very well aware of how frightening and horrific it is. But I have been advised by the Dr. Tekhon. He has said that we should try and not be stupid, obviously, but there is something in this business of being in meetings and trying to get back to a bit of normality, but I do totally get what the deputy leader's saying. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Thank you for those comments. Right, so that is items 1, 2 and 3. Item 4, we have the schedule of applications. Please bear with me when I get all my papers organised. Thank you. Right, the first item 4.1 is 20/00466 a retrospective application to regulise amendments to approved application 18/01066 full 2 Vaughan Way, Bottisford. Is this you, Jim? Okay, over to you, Mr. Worley.
You all me tonight, but
It's all you tonight, is it? Okay.
here to support me as well. It's mostly her work, I have to say. Adam, can we launch the thing? Thank you. So I'll just guide you through slides to start with. So I think everyone's understood the background that this is an application seeking to authorise the development which was built at variance with its planning permission. And just a procedural stroke legal comment on that, that we are required to treat retrospective applications in the same way as we do all others. So we need to set aside our annoyance that these breaches have taken effect and stick to planning merits as we always do. The changes to the proposals are listed at paragraph 1.3 of the report. But at this point, Adam, if you just slowly go through the first 3 or 4 slides, and you'll be able to compare and contrast the plans approved on the left with those built, and therefore part of this application on the right. You can see there that the siting of the, or rather the shape of the dwelling is squared off, and you can probably make out the porch sticking forward and the parking just underneath it, so to speak, on those plans. And the next slide, if I may, Adam, please. So exactly the same pattern, elevational terms. You see the squaring off again. There's no set down for the garage, and you'll see the porch introducing that little bit of design interest in the middle of the elevation. And the next one, if I may. This time floor space. Again, you'll be able to pick out on the right-hand side of the top one, the garage, and how that is now subsumed into the main body of the bungalow and becomes living space. 3 little rooms there. And sorry, I can't remember, Adam, is there another one? No, we're on to Frisbee after that. So they're the main differences. Our view is that taken together, those changes don't make a profound difference to the planning issues that we need to adjudicate. The appearance is in keeping to a similar extent to its predecessor. The size is very similar, as you've probably just seen. And the window arrangements, whilst different, don't introduce overlooking privacy issues that weren't already there from the approval that's in place. One noticeable difference is the parking in front of the house instead of in the garage, 2 spaces instead of 1, in other words. But we don't believe that there's a strong enough argument to say that that arrangement would render it out of character with that street, that part of Bottisford. It's not a conservation area, and it has to be said that every other bungalow up there could simply hard surface their front gardens without a single nod to us tomorrow morning if they wanted to. So we didn't think that that was something that you could really make an argument of in terms of refusal. So I used the word annoyance before, I use it again now. So with the annoyance that this is a retrospective and addressing breaches of planning control, it's with some reluctance we recommend approval.
Okay. Councillor Higgins, you've got your hand raised. Do you have any questions of Jim?
Yeah, and just for clarity, because it's in the public domain, it's obviously this meeting is that design that has been built were the officers presented with that before and then said, no, we don't want that design, we want a different design, and then we got the approval on the current design, which is approved, and have they then just gone, no, I'll build what I wanted? So basically I think Mr. Worley's got the thrust of my question.
I will invite Lynn to confirm what I say, so I'll share my understanding.
Right.
Far away, Lynn, then, if you want to.
Go ahead, Lynn.
That plan wasn't presented to officers or the planning department before the amendments were actually made. It was actually seen on site during site visit for another application, and an application was requested from that.
So catching up, not going backwards.
Yeah. Okay.
With your permission, Chair, is if that application was put in front as a first draft, would officers have recommended permits?
Interesting question.
I believe so, because the merits that I've just been through would have been the same first time around, so to speak, if it was fresh, and we've assessed those as we have to do, and reached the conclusion that formed your recommendation.
Thank you, Chair. That answers my questions.
Okay, thank you. Questions of officers, Mel, Councillor Steadman.
Thank you. At 1.5, it says alteration to dimensions, resulting in a reduced footprint, which is 0.7 metres less in area than the plan originally submitted. Is that the area of the building or of the site, of the whole of the development site?
The area of the building.
So the building's 0.7 metres shorter than it was?
Area, wasn't it?
On the plan, than it was on the plan. The building, the dimensions that are on the proposed plan, that is the amended plan, are as built on site and have been measured by myself and another officer.
Right.
Chairman, sorry to interrupt, Chairman, I'm actually back here now. Sorry, I was taken out of the meeting.
I know, but you have to go back to the waiting room.
Yeah, fine. Okay, I don't know what you're discussing.
No, you're right. You'll be able to hear it from the waiting room anyway, I would imagine. But
Councillor Glancy, I'm having trouble putting them back into the waiting room this evening.
Oh, right. Okay. Then.
So I propose to let them sit here, but as long as they only speak when it's their turn, if that's okay with you, Chairman.
That's fine by me. We just have to rely on the speakers to sit quietly, I think, really. I've been thinking, who's that one in that screen? I've got all these little boxes on my screen, so there's too many to monitor. Right, Councillor Steadman, did you want to say anything else?
No, sorry, I've left my hand up. A legacy hand.
Okay, right. Councillor Holmes.
Thank you, Madam Chairman. Just for Mr. Worley, I know that this is something that you've accepted, but does it give the wrong feeling to other people when they've done something that actually they shouldn't have done? I just feel that probably people will think, well, they got away with it, so we will. That was all. I just don't know what your feelings are about it.
Rather like yours, I suspect, which is why I said it in introduction that it's highly frustrating. But that aside, retrospective applications are an inherent part of the system. There's a piece of law that facilitates them, so
yes.
They're legitimate, otherwise that piece of law wouldn't exist. And the guidance and law that comes with it is that we need to treat them like any other.
Right, thank you.
Did you have a question of Mr. Worley before we start hearing the speakers, Councillor Bindloss?
Yeah, I just wondered whether we'd heard or we had a response when it was found out that this was actually not the correct building plans. Was there a reason for that or not, or was it just not mentioned why this had gone on?
So I would again have to invite Lynn if she's had that.
There wasn't an explanation as to why it had that the development had been carried out in breach of the original approval. It was just a case of an enforcement case was started, which resulted in an invitation for an application to be made. That's the action that was taken. Application was submitted.
So there was no reason given at all as to why it actually was changed.
No.
Thank you.
Okay. Right. So can we move on to the speakers now? You should put your hand down, Councillor Binton, which you have done. Thank you. Right. We have 3 speakers on this matter this evening. The first one is Councillor Bob Beam, who's been very patient. Who's from Bottisford Parish Council.
He's disappeared.
He's gone now, has he?
He's gone, yeah.
Oh dear. Right. Okay. Can members confirm that they received his presentation and you've all read it, so we do know the content of the address to the committee, which is always a good idea why we ask for that in advance due to hiccups with technology. Okay, so we'll move on to Richard Colchester, who's an objector.
They're on mute, Chair.
I can't see them anyway.
Mr. Colchester, you're on
Colchester, you're on mute. Mr. Colchester, you're on mute. There we go. Right.
Right. Okay. Sorry.
Right.
Apologies.
Welcome, and I'm sorry we've had a few technical issues, but you have 3 minutes, Mr. Colchester, to address the committee.
Okay, fine. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Chair and committee members, good evening. Again, I speak on behalf of the objectors to retrospective planning application 20-00466 FUL on the following main grounds. 1, the completed building does not comply with the original planner's report of 2018 granting application 18-01088 FUL. This application undermines the planning department's decision. The site plan in the original report shows the bungalow and garage were to be built slightly further forward to the road. The garage was offset, so it had minimal overlap with the west of 71 Grantham Road. The current building is closer to 71 Grantham Road and overlaps almost to the apex. The resultant gap between the new build and a new ground floor extension to Twobourne Avenue is therefore very narrow, with roof overhang and downpipe from number 2 into the passageway belonging to the new build. 2, as the new building has more overlap, no east-west garage apex, and is also closer to 71 Grantham Road, there is greatly increased loss of light and privacy. The west-facing ground floor window at number 71 now overlooks a back door, windows and a chimney, all closer than the original plans. In addition, all living spaces have been moved to the rear, maximising loss of privacy. The planning department are welcome to assess this issue. Thirdly, the garden areas indicated on the original plan showed bushes, etc. to front and rear. The final treatment at the front is totally tamar macadam, with other areas either paved or astroturfed. The original decision notice stated the permission authorises only the development shown. We submit that the new building is significantly different, is out of character with the area and counter to planning policy D1. The application is also counter to the neighbourhood plan. A dominant oppressive environment is created and is visually intrusive with loss of privacy, counter to planning laws to protect us all. We seek your support to reject the application. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you very much for that. Any questions for Mr. Colchester, members, on what Mr. Colchester has said this evening? Oh, Councillor Higgins, just spotted you.
Yeah, thank you, Chair. Officers, I might need you to put on view the proposed and the permitted application, if that's on notice. So my question to Mr. Colchester, when he was saying about privacy and all the other stuff, because of how it is so intrusive, this new application, it's if the officer can present the approved and the application in front of us, Mr. Colchester could probably point out to us visually how different it is. So, okay, yeah.
I think it's on page 12 of your report anyway.
It is for councillors, yeah. But if we can get that on visual, that page I don't think is quite helpful, but yeah, that probably one is. So if Mr. Colchester can advise how it would be intrusive with the proposed on the right hand side than the approved.
Okay, the proposed comes much further south or more towards clearly the building, which is number 2 Vaughan Avenue, and the new extension. That is actually an extension, it's not a garage. So it's been built much further south. Originally, it was there, what would have been there would have been a garage.
So if
and on the original site plan, the building had far less overlap with 71 Grantham Road.
Okay, thank you for that. So with officers on the proposed one, where the garage part is there any windows at the bottom part on the proposed one which could intrude on privacy? Or if you could highlight that, that would be, I think that'd be helpful for me as a decision maker.
This is where your report will come in handy on paragraph 241, page 14. You can see the rear was there and the difference in the sort of array of windows. And to answer your question, there's a door, a kitchen door, I think it's kitchen, where there was formerly a garage door. Roughly.
That's correct.
Yeah. So, Chair, that I think is demonstrated from the objector's point of view for me. So I'm very happy with what they put forward. So thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. Any other questions? No. Well, thank you very much, Mr. Colchester.
Thank you, Chairman.
I don't know if you could move Mr. Colchester back if that's possible now.
No, I think that's wiser. Don't. We've lost of us.
See you, Mr. Colchester. It's very nice to see you. The third speaker this evening is Malcolm Bunn, who's the agent. If you could
Unfortunately, we've lost him as well.
Oh gosh, we're not doing very well this time.
No, we're not. No, sorry.
Mr. Bayman is texting me quite a bit, and he's saying he's trying to get back in, but the message is that he's been prevented by the host. I don't even know the host is.
It's.
Sorry.
Shall
I call it a short recess to try and sort this out?
Yes, please.
Yes, I think
yes, please. I think so. I think we need to hear these speeches.
Yeah, I'll give you 5 minutes. So shall we all just raise your hand that we have a short recess, please? Thank you.
Second.
Okay, thank you very much. Show of hands, yes. Okay, that is carried. So very sorry this has happened this evening, and hopefully we'll have to reconvene at a later date.